The power of limiting beliefs is a strange phenomenon. We're talking here, well, I'm going to talk about specifically about sports, but I think this applies to everyday life. More specifically, I'm talking about what people deem to be impossible until somebody goes out and achieves the impossible. For many, many years, the 4-minute mile was something that was deemed by experts to be impossible. Scientists at one point came out and said that to run less than 4 minutes is not possible for the human body. I'm talking about, heart bursting, brain exploding kind of limitations. The consensus would be that the human body is physically not capable. So you had the scientists. You also had the athletes themselves that were really pushing for this. Some people may have believed it was possible, but many had tried and all had failed. Even the most optimistic person would say, well, listen, you know what? It's impossible. However, if it is possible, then these things would need to be in place. You'd have to have the right track. You'd have to have the right weather conditions. You'd have to have the right shoes. You'd have to have an athlete that on that day is just at his absolute physical peak. At the same time, you'd also have to have a crowd that is maximizing and charging the athlete to perform that level. Then in 1954, along came Roger Bannister. And this was on a dull day in Oxford, a regular athletics meet on not an ideal track. He ran the 4-minute mile. I think it was 3 minutes, 59 seconds. And he broke this long-standing record that everyone seemed to think was impossible. After this, I think it was around about 2 weeks later, another competition, he broke the record again. And this time another guy broke it with him, an Australian runner. Now you fast forward 70 years, and that record is something that is just seen as a good standard for every 400-meter runner to be able to achieve before they would even consider themselves to be, a competitive athlete. And you also look at the world record now, which is basically close to 17 seconds faster. So it's a brilliant example of something that's impossible until somebody achieves it. So here's another story. This one comes from the world of powerlifting and involves the quest for the 1,000-pound back squat. This is a absolutely crazy story that really deserves a video all by itself. It involves a disqualified record in 1981 and then an actual successful attempt in 1984 that involved blacking out, collars popping off the bar and weights toppling over. It's an absolutely mental story. But to cut a long story short, the record was broken. Everyone had been trying to get to it, and then one guy came along, and Dave Moran or something like that. He broke it, and since then, the 1,000-pound back squat is something, again, that is seen as a kind of standard. And you have now guys who do multiple reps with 1,000 pounds as part of their training. So what's this got to do with anything? Well, obviously, the moral of the story is that the power of your beliefs in either the positive or the negative can either set limitations or set barriers that you can break through if you try. It has to be grounded within the realms of the possible. So when it comes to these guys, they're fighting against the culture, the prevailing wisdom of the time, and they're aiming to push to that boundary. And it's not until someone breaks that boundary that the others follow. And I think the same could be in your own personal life. Everyone has been told at some stage in their life, oh, you can't do this, or oh, no, I don't think you should do that. I think nowadays things are a little bit different in that everyone is being told that they can be everything and do everything. You can tell people that they can do anything they want, but you can't tell someone, listen, you've got to stop eating like a pig if you don't want to get any fatter. I mean, I'm sorry, but let's face it, if I want to identify as a furry, it doesn't mean I can grow wings, start flying around, sprinkling dust on people's heads and granting their wishes, does it? Anyway, let's get back onto the point. So the real moral of the story is don't let society tell you what you can or what you can't do, as long as it's within your power to do it. As Arnold would say, ignore the naysayers. Through his whole life, he's been told, well, you can't do this, or you can't go into bodybuilding, you're in a no-mark town, or you can't go into acting because your accent's too thick. or you can't go into politics because no one will, identify you're just an actor. And he's, look at him now. He's, what is he, 73, something like this. He's got the #1 show on Netflix and a fantastic documentary on Netflix, and everyone who watches it is inspired. And that's because he's ignored the naysayers. So I say, if it's possible, or seems like it could be possible, then you should set your target. Some people want to get away from their dead-end jobs, their 9-to-5 existence. There are people doing it. It's not impossible. Go out and get it.